Sit in my seat and refuse to move? Enjoy being uncomfortable. I was flying back home from visiting my sister in Denver. I always book window seats because I get motion sick and need to look outside to feel better. Plus, I paid extra for that specific seat when I booked my ticket 2 weeks earlier. So I get on the plane and there's this guy in his 30s already sitting in my seat. He's got his laptop out, earbuds in, acting like he owns the place. I politely tap his shoulder and show him my boarding pass. "Excuse me, I think you're in my seat." He barely looks up and goes, "Oh, I need the window for work. You can take my middle seat." Not even a question. Just tells me like it's already decided. His boarding pass is sticking out of his pocket and I can see it's for 14B, the dreaded middle seat between me and some huge dude who was already snoring. I tell him, "Sorry, but I specifically paid for this window seat and I need it." He rolls his eyes and says, "Look, I'm trying to get work done here. Just take the middle seat, it's not that big of a deal." Then he puts his earbuds back in and turns away from me. The flight attendant comes over because people are getting annoyed that I'm blocking the aisle. I explain the situation and show both boarding passes. She asks the guy to move to his assigned seat and he gets all huffy about it. This is ridiculous. I was here first. But he grudgingly starts packing up his stuff. That's when I noticed something interesting. This guy had a huge coffee from the airport, one of those venti-sized ones that's basically a bucket, and he'd been drinking it while working on his laptop. I also noticed he kept shifting around and looked uncomfortable, but I figured he was just annoyed about having to move. About 20 minutes into the flight, this guy starts fidgeting like crazy. He's crossing and uncrossing his legs, looking around nervously. Then he hits the call button. When the flight attendant comes, he whispers something to her and she shakes her head. "I'm sorry, sir, but the captain has turned on the seatbelt sign due to turbulence. You'll need to remain seated." This dude's face goes white. He starts bouncing his leg up and down, checking his watch every 30 seconds. The person next to him, this older lady, starts giving him annoyed looks because he's shaking the whole row with his fidgeting. The turbulence was pretty bad and lasted almost 40 minutes. During that time, this guy was clearly dying. He had his hands pressed against his stomach, kept wiping sweat from his forehead, and was making these little groaning sounds. The lady next to him asked if he was okay, and he just nodded while looking like he was about to pass out. Meanwhile, I'm perfectly comfortable in my window seat, watching the clouds and feeling totally fine. Every few minutes, I'd glance over and see him getting more and more desperate. At one point, he actually stood up despite the seatbelt sign and tried to rush to the bathroom, but the flight attendant made him sit back down immediately. When we finally hit smooth air and the seatbelt sign went off, this guy practically launched himself out of his seat and sprinted toward the bathroom. But there was already a line of like 6 people waiting. I watched him standing there doing this weird dance, shifting from foot to foot, checking his watch, looking absolutely miserable. The bathroom line wasn't moving because the first person had been in there forever. After about 10 more minutes of waiting, the guy started knocking on the door. "Excuse me, are you okay in there?" No response. He knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. Finally, the flight attendant had to check on whoever was in the bathroom. Turns out they had fallen asleep. When they finally came out, my seat stealer practically dove into that bathroom. He was in there for so long that people started making jokes about it. When he finally came out, he looked completely drained. His shirt was wrinkled, hair was all messed up, and he could barely make eye contact with anyone. He had to do the walk of shame back to his middle seat where the older lady was now giving him death glares. For the rest of the 3-hour flight, he sat there looking miserable, squished between 2 people, while I enjoyed my window seat in peace. Every time I looked over, he seemed more uncomfortable. The guy on his other side was huge and kept falling asleep on his shoulder, and the older lady was passive-aggressively elbowing him whenever he tried to use the armrests.